Good day to each and everyone. We are the Group 12 and today we are going to present our research on entrepreneurial competencies of both men and women in microscale enterprises. So today we are going to present our chapters 1 and 2. Microscale enterprises build the foundation of our economy. Many people are engaging in this kind of entrepreneurship, both men and women. Studies show that men and women handle businesses differently. So we are here to know more and dive deeper to their entrepreneurial competencies.
Now let us go to the personal entrepreneurial competencies, which talks about the characteristic that a successful entrepreneur should have. First one is the achievement cluster. This contains opportunity seeking, persistence, commitment to work contract, risk taking, and demand for efficiency and quality. Second one is the planning cluster, which include goal setting, information seeking, systematic planning, and monitoring. For the last one is the power cluster, which includes persuasion, networking, and self-confidence.
Now let's move on to the significance of the study. This study will be beneficial with the other researchers, students, and business owners. It will serve as an additional learning to future researchers and serves as an inspiration to a lot of students, especially to those who are interested in business. Lastly, to the business owners, it will be a great help for them to know about the personal entrepreneurial competencies or PECs that will lead them to success. Next is the objectives of the study. This study specifically aims to describe the PECs of microscale business owners in terms of A. Achievement cluster, B. Planning cluster, and C. Power cluster. Another is to determine if there is differences between the PECs of the men and women entrepreneurs. Also to identify what are the differences in PECs of men and women microscale business owner. Lastly, is to know the strategies to further improve the personal entrepreneurial competencies of both men and women microscale business owners. In this study, we use the input process output model to show or illustrate the framework of the entire study. The personal entrepreneurial competencies that are classified or divided into three clusters: the achievement, planning, and power clusters, and also the gender of each business owners are the inputs or focus of our study. We also adapted the questionnaire that we can use in collecting the data needed for this research. We will conduct a survey using these questionnaires and we will analyze and summarize the results by getting the percentage and the mean with the use of frequency table. The expected output or results are for us to be able to identify the advantage and disadvantage of having men and women as the business owner and to know the personal entrepreneurial competencies of each gender and their comparison. And lastly, to know the different strategies on how to improve the personal entrepreneurial competencies of each business owners.
Statement of the problem. Number 1. How may the entrepreneurial competencies of men and women be described? Number 2. Is there a significant difference between the entrepreneurial competencies of both men and women in microscale enterprises in Bacolor and City of San Fernando, Pampanga? Let us now move on to our chapter 2, or the research methodology. In this chapter, we will describe and discuss the gathered data and information that will be used in the entire study, the various methodology and techniques, the research design, the research respondents together with the sampling technique, research instrument, data gathering procedure, and statistical treatment, and we also include the ethical considerations. Let us start with the research design. We are going to use quantitative descriptive research design, since the purpose of the study is to know about the different entrepreneurial competencies of both men and women in microscale enterprises around the area of Bacolor and San Fernando City, Pampanga.
As for the research respondents, We've chosen to interview the microscale entrepreneurs in Bacolor and city of San Fernando, Pampanga. We've gathered around 20 respondents and decided to use the purposive sampling technique in getting their answers.
Now, let's proceed to the research instruments. The research instruments were adopted from the book entitled Introduction to Entrepreneurship. It contains 55 brief statements and it has a 5-point Likert scale.
Data gathering procedure. Step 1. Written permission to distribute the questionnaire. Step 2. Approval for the research and advisors. Step 3. Letter of permission from the chosen respondents. And step 4. Distributing the questionnaire to the respondents through Google Forms.
For the data processing and statistical treatment, we will be using different statistical treatments to tally and process the data and informations we gathered for this study. We will use person-product moment correlation as our statistical treatment in determining the entrepreneurial competencies of both men and women. We will also be using a weighted mean to interpret the gathered data and to determine if there are differences between the entrepreneurial competencies of both men and women. We will be using a scoring sheet for the questionnaires we adapted from the book Introduction to Entrepreneurship.
Last but not the least are the ethical considerations. In here, we have written permissions and also we've written the questions in a very clear manner. We've also considered giving our respondents sufficient time to answer the question. And of course, we've respected their data privacy notice or agreement.
Hi, I am Precious Hill Calma.
I'm Vivian Luigi Del Fiero.
I'm Naya Maripica Villing.
I'm Jesselyn Sangala.
And I am Hazel J. David, and we are the Group 12 of 12 ABMA. Thank you for watching.